Today we're going to look at how to add and subtract decimals. So the very first one here, we're going to do add decimals. Okay, so in the first one here we're going to have some addition. I'm just going to pick some random numbers. It doesn't necessarily matter what numbers it is. 32 and 1/10 and 21 and 5/10. And I'm going to add. Now, in addition and subtraction of decimals, we always want to make sure that our decimals are always lined up. Okay, that's where we make sure that we have all of our place values completely lined up. Because you're going to notice on some numbers we'll have more values in the decimals compared to other ones. And usually a mistake that a lot of students fall under is that they want to line up the numbers so that way they're perfectly aligned. And that throws off the place values. This decimal here is your landmark. Everything lines up to that. Okay, so that means even down here in the sum, it just falls on down. Alright, and once you do that, you just add like normal. 5 plus 1, 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. Now my sum is 53 and 6/10. Seems pretty simple enough, right? Just line up the decimals, add like normal, and bring it on down. Let's try another one. 170 and 0.5. So in 5/100ths plus 14 and 3/10. So here's a perfect example of what you would normally see. You would see an expression or number sentence that's going to have, we'll have the numbers written out, and when we line them up, because again, we're always lining up these decimals, you're going to see there's an empty place value. Well, in that empty place value, we always assume that there's going to be a 0, and I just fill it in just like so. But you'll notice though, if I didn't have that there, and I didn't line up my decimals, normally students would put this 3 under the 5, and that's completely wrong. Okay? That's going to be a real big mistake and give you a completely incorrect sum. So remember, always line up the decimals and then fill in any missing place values. And I just add like normal. 5 plus nothing is 5. 3 plus nothing is 3. Bring on down that decimal. 4 plus 0 is 4. 7 plus 1 is 8. 1 plus nothing is going to give me 1. So now I end up with 184 and, remember whenever we read it, that decimal point is and 35/100ths. Let's do one last one for addition. Alrighty, so the very first thing I've done is I line them up by the decimal point. That's a big part. Now I have an empty value here, so remember when I have that empty value, I automatically assume that there is a 0. So 5/10 is the same thing as 50/100ths. So now I just add like normal. 0 and 9, 9. 5 and 0, 5. Bring on down that decimal. 7 and 1 is 8. 2 and 6, 8. And then 4 plus nothing gives me 4. So now I end up with 488 and 59/100ths. So, once again, adding decimals, more often than not, students get really afraid of adding decimals just for that fact. Oh no, there's decimals. If you can add and you can line up the decimals, you'll be perfectly fine. What about subtracting decimals? Is it any different? So you're right. Subtracting decimals is the exact same thing as if we were just subtracting normal numbers. The only thing is we're aligning the decimal points. So let's try one here. Let's go with 45 and 3/10 minus 21 and 1/10. Same thing, just like in normal subtraction. Top number has to be larger than my bottom number. So I go ahead and take 3 minus 1, gives me the difference of 2. Bring on down that decimal. 5 minus 1 is going to give me 4, and 4 minus 2 is going to give me 2. So now I have the difference of 24 and 2/10. Let's try a little bit bigger number. Okay, so here's my new number, and I've done that first thing here. I'm lining them up by the decimal point. I have my larger number on top, and I'm seeing I have an empty value here. Remember, 7/10 is the same thing as 70/100. So now I subtract. 7 take away 0 is going to give me 7. 0 take away 7, can't do that. So I need to borrow from the 9. That becomes an 8, and this now becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 gives me 3. Bring on down that decimal. 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 minus 4 is 3, and 2 minus nothing is 2. So my difference is 237 and 37/100. Let's do one more. Okay, so I've lined up my decimal points, my larger number is on top, and there's nothing in this value, so I'm going to put a 0. So, now I subtract. 0 minus 9, I can't do that, so I need to borrow. Cross it out, that now becomes a 0. This is now a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 0 minus 9, can't do that either, so I need to go over and borrow. This 2 becomes a 1, and this 1 now becomes a 10. Excuse me, the 0 now becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. I bring down this decimal value. 1 minus 4, can't do that. So I'm going to borrow here. This now becomes a 6, and that 1 now becomes an 11. 11 minus 4 is now going to give me 7. 6 minus 1 is 5. So now my difference is 57 and 11/100. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps out. This is your digital tutor saying, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out some of our other videos if you still need help. Also, hit that subscribe button to be notified about new uploaded videos.